So coming from thinking of taking a gap year? Here's why it's not the worst thing in the world. Hello and welcome to Simple Social Sister. My name's Rochelle and this segment is called My Life, My Experience. So I'm so glad that my first semester of second year has officially finished. Literally, as I'm filming this, I finished yesterday. And for many of you, be glad that you've made it this far as well, because I remember not even lasting a month my first try around. And you probably have the same instinct, which is why you clicked on this video as well. Or maybe you're just thinking of taking a gap year and you didn't really enjoy your first semester, or you're in your second year like me and you just figured this isn't what you want. So I'm going to be telling you a couple things that I learned on my gap year, things that people don't tell you, things that I've learned during my experience, as well as tips to help you make sure that you have a productive year or 6 months or however long that your gap year is. Things people tell you that are not true. The first and most common is it's a waste of time and all that blah blah blah. And what I can say to that is ultimately it's up to you. It depends on what you do with your year. If you end up sitting on your couch just watching TV shows, playing video games 365 days of the year or however long your gap year is, it will have definitely be a waste of time. So there's a whole bunch of things that you can do. It's just ultimately up to you to make sure that you get as much out of it as you can. Number 2, you need money to take a gap year. Again, that's not true. Who says you even have to leave the country or even leave your state? Number 3, you will be behind. In what? In life? In the people that you graduated in high school with? So this is sort of a self-internalized fear. So remember, take your time to find and figure out things that you like and you want to do. If you don't feel mentally ready and you want to take a break, that's fine. Do it because you want to do it and you feel like it would help you. Take time to figure out yourself and do what's best for you. And the biggest thing that can have big impact on this are your parents. Your parents aren't in your shoes. They don't understand what you're going through, even though they say that they do most of the time. We all individually experience things at our own pace, in our own way. So let's move on to what you can actually do in your gap year or your break. Tips to help you make sure your gap year is actually productive. So coming from someone who didn't plan their gap year ahead of time, like I know a lot of people usually do, I actually wanted to achieve something. And I can personally tell you that it is possible no matter how late you plan your gap year. So just imagine what you can do if you actually plan ahead of time. Number 1, volunteer or do an internship. Now, I'm not talking about volunteering at your local primary school or your aged care center, unless that's something you're passionate about and what you really, really want to do. And there are so many organizations that offer internship programs and volunteer programs for absolutely anyone. All you have to do is sign up. A couple that I worked with and I also think are great and have a great team behind them are Event Teamwork, Sydney is Stanford, Event Workforce, I Need Helpers. I'll leave links down below if you guys want to check them out and check out what things they have on offer, as well as anything else that I'm talking about in this video. They offer a whole variety of volunteer jobs and internships in the entertainment industry, in the sports industry, in the film industry. It really just depends on what's available throughout the year. So if you're specifically in Australia or in Sydney, these things are some great organizations. And you know what? You often get a free shirt too, so that just helps you remind you of the time that you helped give up. If you just want a free shirt, you can never have too many free shirts. Number 2 would be start a blog, a YouTube channel, an Etsy shop. There's so many things that you could do in this online amazing digital realm. So given that I did start 1 year later, there's a whole plethora of digital media sites and social media sites that you can start that are tailored to your sort of creative endeavors and what you want to do. So if you find that you like making art and you want to sell sort of intricate little pieces of things, Etsy is sort of like the best place for that. Or if you feel like you're a writer and you're really passionate about just expressing yourself through there, you can create a blog. There will always be a site that's tailored to what you want to do. You just got to go out there and kind of do your research and figure out which one's the best one for you. Number 3, be active. This is the one that I think people mostly forget about, because when you're in university, it's a lot of worry and stress, and I'm pretty sure it was the same when you finished high school and making that transition straight to straight. It's a totally different feeling. So while you're making sure that you're in the right mental state to start university or whatever next chapter you have in life, it's also good to make sure that you're physically prepared as well, and you're taking care of your body physically. Oh, that sounded weird. Now, I am not a runner, and I have expressed this and told this to so many people, but I do enjoy walking. So in the mornings, me and my friends are pretty lucky in that we live quite close to each other. So we used to schedule times where we would just meet up at the park and just walk around for an hour, maybe an hour and a half to 2. And that's just something that makes you get out there. It makes you breathe in a different type of air, especially if you're stuck in your bedroom. And it's also just a great way to catch up with your friends, because as I said, I was a year behind a lot of my other friends, which is totally fine. And they had a lot of busy schedules that I couldn't catch up with them, so this was the perfect excuse that both made me and whoever I was catching up with active as well. Plus, it's just a great excuse for you guys to catch up. So what did I ultimately learn? Things I learned on my gap year. Number 1 would be open-minded. Now at this point, especially if you are finishing high school, you haven't got a lot of experience. You haven't had a full-time job in anything. And let's be honest, your qualifications aren't the best. Unless you do, so kudos to you. I don't know how you got them, but that's awesome. So I would just ultimately say yes to opportunities. And I personally found that the more eager and excited that I was to pursue projects, the more kept coming my way. In the end, it's kind of made me more confident in presenting myself when I went for job interviews continuously after projects. And you find that that's something that tends to happen a lot because you're bouncing from small projects to small projects. Me personally, I tend to have to meet new people, which is something I'm totally, it's very scary to me. But once you do it over and over again, like with anything, I feel that you tend to be more comfortable with it and be more comfortable in presenting yourself as well. I also gained a lot more confidence by the end of each project, so I gradually was delegated more tasks and more complicated tasks. Number 2 is networking and connections, and this is probably the most important one that I think that you will gain out of your time taking a gap. Insert here whatever you're taking, because I found that people generally care and are interested in where you want to go in life and your plans and your perspective on where you want to be. And believe it or not, most of the time, don't quote me on this, but most of the time I feel like they need you more than you need them. In saying that though, I was probably very, very lucky because I am quite a hard worker and I do like being delegated tasks to continue doing things. I don't like doing one thing and being sort of stagnant. I like things to be busy. I like being delegated a lot of things to do. It keeps my mind at work, and it makes sure that my mind doesn't go bleh. Then again, I may have been very, very lucky in the opportunities that was provided to me. Though in saying that, it doesn't cost much to lend a hand, to ask people that you're working with or the people who hired you, do you need help with this? Or if you finish a task early on, is there something else that I can do? It's just being more proactive as well, and it shows that you're eager for more. Especially asking how someone's day was, or asking for help when you need it. Most important thing in this is that you do stay connected. I still do stay in contact with the people that I worked with, and they provide me some awesome references and referees for when applying for future jobs as well. So I gained a great list of contacts that I can use in the future, and I've also gained a couple of international friends and friends that are a lot more older, that are away from your bubble of high school friends. So hello to friend all the way in Holland. I miss you heaps. And number 3 is life experience. I know people kind of say this all the time, even when it definitely seemed like it was the most stupidest, most regretful decision that I had ever made and the world was crumbling down on me. In the end, I made sure that things happened in my gap year. I personally made sure that I found jobs. I personally made sure that things happened, not my parents, not my school, me. I found myself opportunities and I made sure that I took advantage of them to the best of my ability. Okay, so I hope this helps you guys decide whether you want to take a gap year. But whatever you choose, remember it's totally in your hand. So make sure you leave a comment down below if you're thinking of taking a gap year and let me know what you guys are gonna get up to. Or if you want to ask me more gap year questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, or you can personally message me on all my social media. It's all found here. So thanks so much for watching. Make sure you guys give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and good luck.